Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Emily. Welcome to my first ever Bookmas video. I'm going to be doing it a little bit differently than how everyone else does Bookmas. Since I work almost every single day, I don't have time to film 25 videos to post in 1 month consecutively. So instead of doing 25 videos, I will be doing 12 days of Bookmas starting from the 12th or 13th of December. I haven't decided as I'm actually filming this video, but this will be the first video as part of Bookmas. I have so many exciting videos to film for this, and I'm just hoping that I can get all 12 videos filmed and edited while I'm still working at the same time. In today's video specifically, I am going to be reacting and reading your book icks/pet peeves. I asked on my Instagram story and TikTok story, so I've got a lot of replies to go through. Before I get started, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like the video if you enjoy it. As usual, my social medias will be on the screen and linked in the description, but without rambling on too much, we're just going to get straight into the video. So the first one is when the books in a series are different sizes, as in height. This is something that bugs me so much, and in Australia this happens so often because often when we get a book published in Australia, it's like a really big paperback version. And a similar thing to that, I have the Knock 'Em Out series by Lucy Score, and none of these spines match. Like this one doesn't have the publisher on it because I think I bought it from Amazon and it was printed from Amazon. These two have opposite writing even though I brought them from the same store, and they don't match at all. This one's also slightly taller, and it just bugs me the fact they're sitting on my bookshelf not matching. Like these would have been so aesthetic if they were all matching. The next one we have is when it's been made into a movie/TV show and they've replaced all of the covers with the actors and I can't find the original cover anywhere. There's been so many occasions where I've just wanted the original cover of a book, but because they've made it into a show, you can't get it anymore. Normally I just don't end up buying the book and I end up like finding it from somewhere else, but it is really annoying because it's just like you have to go out of your way to find the edition or the cover that you'd like, because I don't think anyone wants a book cover on their shelf that is like a movie cover. The next one is any references to social media, mostly TikTok. I have a really good example of this one recently. I was going to start Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood, and I literally read the first like page of the book, and it literally mentions YouTube, like really popular celebrities, Gen Zs, AirPods, and I'm just like, when I'm reading a book, I do not want to hear about modernized things and things that we hear about in our day-to-day lives, because when I read a book, I read it to escape from the real world, and I don't want to go into a book literally reading the same thing. And it is something that really frustrates me. I don't know when I'm going to read this book because it's just really irked me out, to be honest. I just don't really feel like reading this anymore because of it. The next one is when you relax a spine but it cracks anyway. This one, I feel like it hasn't really happened to me often, but when it does, it is really frustrating. When people say relax the spine, I think they mean like, you know, slowly like push the pages out so when you're holding the book open it doesn't crack. That is something that I really love. I need a book to be floppy. Like this one is like the perfect example of a floppy book because I know this one's not going to crack because it can just sit. But for something like this one, Haunting Adeline, it is a lot stiffer, and you just know that if you like really pushed down you would just crack the spine. And I'm not gonna lie, I used to be a bit of a spine cracker. I feel like I did it on purpose a couple of times and I don't really know why or what was going through my head. I feel like I just wanted my books to look more loved back in the day, but now I want them to look pristine and like they're new even after I've read them. The next one is when people arrange their bookshelves based on color. I was guilty of this one for a really long time. It's only been up until this year that I've actually decided to change my bookshelves into a normal way to organize them, because I used to have authors literally separated because I would have them in colored order, and that would just really bug me. And even though it looks really pretty and kind of aesthetically pleasing, it's just not practical at all having colorful bookshelves. But now I just have my bookshelves all randomly, and I honestly think that it looks way better, so it's kind of like chaotically organized, but I really liked that. Someone said long chapters or real people on the covers. I knew we would talk about real people on the covers. Okay, I have one example of a book with people on the covers. We have the Selection series. This one isn't as bad as other ones. Like I'm thinking of like covers where there's like a naked man on the front of the book. Like no one wants to read a book in public that has a literal naked man on the front of it. It's just so awkward, and I just don't understand why authors do that and put that on their books. And it's always like they will have an alternative cover, but you can only ever find the cover that has the man on it, and you don't really get an option. When they have stickers and sticker residue, that one is really annoying. I go to some bookstores and they put like the actual price tag sticker on the front of the book, and you never get it off properly. There is always a sticky like layer left on it, and it's just really annoying because you just all the fluff gets stuck to it and it just looks really disgusting. And on the same topic of that, we have like the printed stickers on books that you cannot remove. For example, this one on Love Theoretically. I'm actually reading this right now. That is so annoying. Like, this is just printed onto the book. Like, we don't need to know that it's the same author as The Love Hypothesis, because if we're going to buy this, we probably already know that it's the same author. Like, it just really bugs me. Okay, the next one I do not agree with. Someone has just said playlist. I love playlists in books. I actually make my own playlists sometimes as well on Spotify. If you want to go follow me on there, you can go and do that. I've made a couple on there. I am a sucker for playlists in books. Like, even if I will never listen to that playlist, I still like going through it and seeing the songs that the author has chosen to match with the characters of the book or the plot of the book or whatever they match it to, because I feel like it just gives you a better sense of what you're going into the book. Okay, the next one is a funny one. There's a couple of points in here. So we have when the FMC, so the female main character, is a pick-me. This is really annoying. There's so many books where the female main character is just really annoying. When the male main character says stuff like, she was so petite, or she could have been a child. I don't think I've ever read a book where it says she could have been a child. That is really weird. That would 100% weird me out, because like, why are you thinking about that? When authors use words like growled, I also hate this. This is why I don't really like books with spice, because there's only a few authors that can actually make spice good. And a lot of the time you're literally just reading words like that. Like, I will literally skip that whole chapter if I read something like that. When someone borrows your books and ruins them. Honestly, I don't really relate to this one, but I do understand, because I only lend my books to my mom and she obviously takes care of them. I would be really scared to lend my books out to anyone, because they are like my pride and joy. Like, I want my books to be in pristine condition all of the time. I don't want water damage or bent pages or anything, unless it's my doing and it was a mistake. If someone else has done that to my book, I'm not going to be happy. I would literally make them buy me a new book. Okay, that is all that I found on the TikTok comments, because a lot of them were kind of repeated. Now I'm going to go over to the Instagram story to talk about some of those ones. Okay, again, mentioning TikTok or other social media, I'm so glad other people agree with that one. Cracked spines, covers with men's abs. When they keep dramatically reiterating that he's so tall or she's so curvy or small every second. That is something that really bugs me as well. Like, we don't need to know 100 times during the book that the guy is as tall as a giraffe or the girl is as small as a mouse. Like, that is something that really cringes me out, and honestly it just makes me feel so much more disconnected to the story, because it feels like a child is writing it. The pregnancy trope and also closed door romances. See, I do like closed door romances most of the time, because I don't really like spice in books, as I just said. The pregnancy trope, I don't even really think I've ever read a book with the pregnancy trope, only like at the end of the book, like in the epilogue or whatever, there's been like a pregnancy bit spoken about, which I actually don't like that part. But yeah, I can't really agree with that one for the actual book itself, because I don't think I've ever read a book like that. Heavy info dumps in fantasy books. The first book that I think of when I hear that is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. I genuinely think that book was just absolutely terrible. If you want to see my full opinions on that book, definitely go and watch my November reading wrap up, because I do have a lot of opinions about that book, and as someone that's still new going into fantasy, that book was really overwhelming and I could not keep track of anything in that book. And I don't even think it was just me. I think it was just the way the book was written. And I feel like when you write a fantasy book, you need to kind of give information over the series, not all dumped into one book. Like, it just makes it so much more hard to follow along. I don't know if this is one, but the silent book review trend, I have to skip them. I actually love the silent book review trend. I definitely feel like it's getting overdone now. I've literally done 3 myself over on TikTok, but I did have a lot of fun filming them and I really liked how they turned out and everything. But even though they're kind of getting a little bit overdone now, I definitely still watch every single one that I see, because I just really like seeing people's reactions. The small of her back, so many better ways to word that and like make it sound sexier. I 100% agree with this one. I remember I made a video on TikTok about book icks that I had, and that was one of my things, like that specifically, the small of my back. I get that that means like lower back, but like you could have said waist and it would sound a lot better than that. When the front page is shorter than the book. I don't think I have an example of this one, but it is something that is really annoying. Like, I'm gonna try to show you guys what that means. It'd be like pushed back a little bit, and then it will say something written down here. That is something that really bugs me as well. That's why I will not buy a book if it has that on it. Books written in present tense, I think this means second person, so it's kind of like talking as if they're talking to you. Like it'd be like, you walked into the room and you saw a red door. Like it's kind of saying it as if you are the character. I don't really like that either in books because I just feel like sometimes it's just not really necessary. Definitely don't mind it in like a thriller book because it kind of puts you in the mind of like, you know, the bad guy of the book. I really like that aspect. When you listen to the audio version of a book in the car and their voices are just not it. This is one that really bugs me as well because there's so many audiobooks where the voices just do not match how the characters are perceived in my head. Like for example, if they have like a really strong English accent and then I'm Australian, like I get so put off sometimes and I just don't even know what they're saying. I remember I listened to Normal People by Sally Rooney as an audiobook and I didn't like that book at all, and I think a lot of the reason is because I could not understand what they were saying because the accents were so strong. And then the last one we have is just Tamlin. Tamlin in general from the ACOTAR series. I am only up to the 3rd book in the series and I've actually DNF'd it right now because I'm just not in the mood to read it and I can't get into it. But yeah, we don't like Tamlin. If you're a Sarah J Maas fan, you'll know. Yeah, we don't want any more of him in books. I hope I covered every single different book ick because there was a lot of them and I didn't want to go over the same ones multiple times, so I might have missed some. But I feel like we got a massive variety of different book icks, which I love because I just love going over different book icks to see if I agree with them or not. And I think it's just a really fun way to connect on things that we don't like in books, even though authors and publishers will continue to do them. But with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching and I hope to see you guys in my next video.